Hello and welcome to the Inside Track. This is a brand new series where we're going to try and get to the heart of MotoGP. Have a special guest with us throughout the season to try and dig into things a little bit more. You're not the special guest.
Oh, sorry. All right.
This week we've got Cal Crutchlow with us. Thanks for joining us, Cal. We've got Neil Hodgson alongside it all. Every week we're going to try and discuss a theme. We're going to try and stick to it as much as possible, but I expect we'll get waylaid, especially if some of your stories come out. This week we're talking about the paddock, which, as most people probably know, it's a village of about 2,500 people that travels around the world, mainly men. So it's a little bit of a spicy atmosphere anyway. But we're in pre-season, we're in London. Do you miss being in the paddock? Do you miss?
Well, it's as far away from the paddock as you can get being here in London. I suppose you miss it when you're 6 weeks into a winter break. But then you get eight weeks into the winter break and you're thinking, actually, I don't want to go back to that paddock, because you get to the first test in Sepang. You've shook everybody's hand in the first day and you could probably do without not seeing them for the rest of the year and just race your bike. You know, you have that feeling that you come back to the paddock and you have been away for 2.5 months, but it seems all too familiar that you come back straight away. It feels like it's a week after you've just left. But
it's like going to a new year of school, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's work, isn't it? So
wait a second.
Paddocks work. No, I'm thinking more than racing, not what we do.
I was going to say.
yours.
We get paid to watch bikes.
I remember just always being stressed in the paddock because the pressure to perform all the time. You know, like literally every time you get on that bike, you're under pressure to perform. So you end up where, I mean, I always thought some people do love the paddock, but I never did. I loved being at home with my mates, with my real mates. I used to think you're a real mate, Gav, by the way. Well, not really.
Yeah, but you wouldn't hang around with him.
I wouldn't hang around. Well, no. As soon as at the end of the season comes, I'm like, see you in 3 months.
February, yeah.
Do you not feel like that?
I think that the riding the bike side of it, obviously everyone thinks that's the hardest thing, which it is. You know, you're riding the bike, you have to concentrate. Everything boils down to you riding the bike. That's why you're there. But the reality is being in the paddock and doing all the stuff involved in the paddock is harder work than actually riding the bike. You're there, you know, a daily routine will be you're up at 7:30. I try and delay it till 8:30, but I mean, 7:30, and I can still be in the garage at 10:30 at night because that's the only time that I've got to see Beefy or the HRC engineers or whoever it may be. And I only have 2 45-minute sessions on track.
So you're only on track actually an hour and a half?
But you're working all day.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, you get some downtime, you can watch the TV in the motorhome, stuff like that. But
listen to what we're saying.
Well, I tend to watch something else. But
Hang on, you said you watch it, but you turn the volume down. Is that right, or are you just winding me up?
No, when Keith's on. I definitely turn it down.
So when Keith's talking, so that's only about 95% of the time.
Yeah, exactly. I have the ambient sound on, the noise, you know, like just the noise of the
blowing
bikes
or
going
something.
on. It's, you know, it's a busy day, it's a busy schedule. You know, we're very lucky as riders that we have the best job in the world because you get to travel around the world racing a motorcycle for a living.
You get paid to pop wheelies, don't you?
Well,
really?
Yeah, you can only pop them after the checker flag, though. That's if you reach the checker flag. So, you know, it's just busy. As you said, it's a stressful environment.
It's a funny place, isn't it? The paddock itself, in terms of the makeup of it, the amount of different people everyone's got their own job and trying to justify
opinion, though, you know, on how the bike should work, on how the racing should work, how
everyone's got their little input.
You should, you know, and you have to try and filter out what is good for you and what, you know, and other riders will do the same, for who to listen to, who to work with, and then it makes it a lot easier. You know, I have quite a chilled environment that with Lucio, with the team that I ride for. I'm not saying I'm allowed to do what I want.
It looks that way.
Obviously, you know, obviously, I can't just do what I want, but I do get away with a lot.
Yeah, you do.
Sure.
Because you say a lot more. A lot of people will always say to us, "Well, Cal speaks his mind," a bit like Colin Edwards did back in the day. And the Europeans.
Casey Stoner was the same. He was always dead honest.
Just going to say how it is.
You know, I think I've said this many times in interviews, people take it in the wrong way. It's not that I'm being brash or arrogant or, trying to be funny or anything like that. I'm just telling the truth. One thing that I will never do is I will never lie. If somebody asks me a question, I'll answer it.
Yeah.
And if somebody asks me if it's left or if it's right, I will not say it's left to protect anyone.
But you'll admit stuff sometimes. You'll have to.
Yeah,
you won't be allowed.
I think that in the end, say the media come and they say you've got a new chassis. I've been told not to say it. They're not stupid. They can see it's not. So I'm basically being told to say nothing. But in the end, everyone can see it, and
it's this
obvious.
Weird game we all play. Because I'll ask you that question, and you'll go, "Says who?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I'll go, well, clearly you've got a new chassis. But it's
it's
a weird, awkward dance with me and you, usually, isn't it?
It's just...
That's how I see it.
It's a bit of tension.
No, there's no tension between... I always get asked
No,
this.
but when you're asking the question...
I love that, though. I always get asked. One of my number one questions I've got to say is, what's Cal Crutchlow like?
I get that.
Because
I get asked it a lot.
people don't know what you're like.
I can't believe you say those things about him. When
Yeah,
people ask
that's why everyone hates me.
No, not at all, not at all. No, because it's like some people are like, it comes across really well and funny. And some people go, it comes across really argumentative
arrogant.
and arrogant. It's like a real split. You definitely split the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the whole point.
Because you're being honest you're not playing a game trying to get fans.
At the end of the day, if I look at that paddock and I look at, say, there's 20 interviews after, and a day's on one given day, say it's a Friday or a Saturday, I will say 90% of them will lie at one point in that interview.
Oh, yeah.
And
we know it, don't we?
So
we sit there talking to riders going, and I'll say, oh, what did so-and-so say? And Gav will go, well, nothing really.
Yeah.
It was just all lies.
Well, they just
words.
make things up,
Or say a lot without saying much.
Yeah, and try not to give anything away. But in the end of the day, everybody knows the game. If you're trying to protect yourself against other riders, we're mentally strong enough to understand things, even if you're Italian, Spanish, or English. It's.
So who's the worst then for that? Who would you say
between
us? Let's discuss it. Who's the worst for talking and saying nothing? You know what I mean?
I don't know. Andrea Iannone is one, right? Who?
You've gone for an easy target there.
No, but just because he hides behind not being able to speak English well enough.
Well, you won't have to deal with that anymore, will you? If you're not racing.
Controversial, yeah, but I mean, looks like it at the moment.
Have you been on the Iannone diet? You just look like you've beefed up. Just a lot of steak. I know you've been far east.
I fly him in from Malaysia.
Right.
That's what I do.
It's.
That's another subject altogether, isn't it?
Well, at the end of the day, I got asked the question in Malaysia about that, and the political answer is, obviously, I was the guy that fought against the anti-doping side of it because nobody was testing.
Yeah.
There was not enough testing. I believed that there was stuff going on.
You were the only person on the system.
As with every sport in the world, somebody's trying to bend the rules somewhere, and they were not doing enough testing. To be at the highest level of motorcycle racing in the world, and what's at stake, these guys, get paid millions of euros. Honda, Ducati, Yamaha, they invest all this money, and there could be someone cheating. But they're so technical with the bikes and cheating with the bikes. Or I'm not saying they're cheating. I'm saying they're always looking to. I mean, the organisation are always looking for cheats on the bikes. So why are they not looking for them on the riders? And finally, somebody got caught because they made a lot of testing last year, which is the correct way to do it. The problem that I have with the system is there's 3 riders in each championship on this Adams whereabouts system. So you have to give your whereabouts every day, and they can test you every single day of the year. But why is there only 3 when there's 22 riders?
Yeah.
And it's
because in the Olympics, it's every rider, every athlete,
every cyclist, every every runner that's racing in the World Championship, every skier, all these things. But why in our sport is there only 3 in each championship on this system? And the system's free. It's on the internet. You have to just log in, say where you are for that day, give a testing time of an hour, it's not costing anybody anything.
No.
You know, so that was why I was so against it. Finally, you know, they've caught someone. If you know he's not been proven to be guilty, and we have to give him the benefit of the doubt until
but
until
all we can say is we also
It's been 2 tests.
all we can say throughout the year we saw him and he'd put on a load of beef.
Yeah.
He actually had, which would work against him riding a motorcycle. But I tell you what, for Instagram, looks perfect. Yeah. Which we do know, and at least it sounds like I'm joking. I'm right, though, aren't I? He's you know, he's very.
He's a star back home.
Yeah, in Italy, he's in all the tabloids.
Yeah, he's more of a star of something else than racing a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Which, you know,
Each to their own.
the problem is with him he is a fantastic rider, probably one of the best on the grid. You know, I used to ride when I was in Ducati. I used to see his data and stuff like that. The way he rides is incredible. But it's no wonder he led the Australian Grand Prix for 2 corners, was it? And then he never never led over the line, because I led over the line, and he's topped up for Malaysia. Try and get it back, but
funny that from nowhere he did find some form, didn't he?
Yeah.
But it would go against you. Anyway, I think you know, let's move on from drugs, Gav.
Yeah, it's touchy subject. The lawyer's probably cutting all that out.
Yeah, cut.
Get rid of it. It is a funny place, the paddock, isn't it? Like, we see all the riders surrounded by entourages, don't we, of people. Whether it's the team, you've got your crew chief, Beefy, we see you with a lot. You've got your mechanics. You spend a lot of time with them over the year, but how much do you spend with them, you know, when you're not in the garage itself?
I've been very, very lucky over my career to have great teams and great crews, but I'm always fully aware to try and make it as fun as possible, because the way that I look at it is there's 9-10 people in my side of the garage. You know, in the whole staff of the team, there's 60 or something like that. I get to take my family with me, racing and this, that and the other. They don't. They're away longer than me for a start. You know, we can come in as late as possible. We get to race and all this.
Do you turn up on a Thursday normally? Thursday morning?
Well, just before my interview, which is 3:40, so I normally land at 2 o'clock.
Rocked in.
But, you know, and I leave as soon as possible. But these guys that are working for you, that are slaving all day.
Oh, they've been setting up since Monday?
Yeah, since setting up. You know, you have the truck drivers, you have the hospitality staff, you have all,
do you know everyone's
all these people.
Name? Yeah. See, I never did.
I bet I can do it.
That said, it took me 2 years to remember Gav's name. Kept calling him Graham, which that was embarrassing. Remember that year too?
Like a Graham.
A little bit.
Right, okay. Is that
So
a good thing?
I just think that, you know, it's not an easy job for them.
No.
It's not an easy job for the mechanics, the hospitality, the truck drivers, all these people. Where for me, I have it the easiest, or the riders have it the easiest in that sense. And you know, so I don't get to spend a lot of time with them away from the track, because we all got home, we all, you know, travel back to our places, and to Beefy.
But how much?
And
Once
to
a
my
day,
mechanics.
or once while in between races?
Whenever we need something. Every team that I've ever been with and ever left, you know, for whatever reason I've left, I think that when I left, they would all say that I was the best rider to work for. I'm not saying that in a I'm the best guy in the world. I would hope that I made an environment that they enjoyed to work in. It was funny, no matter if the times were hard or not.
It's not like they're getting to the end of the season going, no, okay.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and
He's signed again. Oh my God. What a fairings! You know, you can imagine it, can't you? You know. Have you ever had any of hassle with that? Obviously, crashing's talked about a lot. You are more of one of the crashers of the championship. You have been for the last few years. I know you're on the Honda. Few years.
Every year.
Well,
when I was on the Yamaha or the Ducati, mate.
And there's nothing to be ashamed of. You're not even ashamed. Why would you be ashamed? You're trying 100%. Does the team ever say anything? Does Lucio say, literally, that crash has just cost $100,000 crash or more?
No, and I also don't care.
No,
Because,
absolutely. You shouldn't care.
You know,
I never did.
I'm giving my all.
Yeah, exactly.
And if it was easy enough to stay on the bike, everybody would do it, and then everybody would race in MotoGP and everyone would finish the race. But they don't.
Do you think it helps then that the team owner's an ex-bike racer who totally gets that? And he likes
no, because Hervé was the same,
right.
you know, and Ducati was exactly the same. Tardozzi, you know, it's part of racing. If the team manager had a problem, they'd also have a big problem with Marc Marquez, but he's the most wanted man in the whole world.
Yeah.
You know, it's just what I do. It's what I've always done. I give my all, and sometimes I don't stay on the bike.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like 50-50. But in the end of the day, I'm not going to change the way I am because I give my everything. A lot of it is to do with me probably overriding compared to my talent. But I'm happy to say that I don't care. Say my talent's 40%, 60% is made up of determination and trying to do it, where a lot of the other guys are probably 80% and, you know, 20% is made up of determination.
80% talent, 20% determination. Yeah.
Well, Mark's case is probably
100% talent, 100% determination.
Exactly.
And that's why
he's got full tanks on both of those.
It's hard work for everybody else.
Talking about someone then like Mark, or you know, or your teammate Taco, for example, you've got all these rivals, but you work for the same company. How do you manage that as a rider? The fact that you've got to get on with them because you want to make the bike better, and you work for the same company, but you've got to beat them first of all, and then you're up against someone like Mark.
Yeah, you know the thing was when I was in Yamaha with Jorge, it was a similar scenario because he was winning then and he was like on that next planet, even to everyone. Casey was, I think that time he'd gone to Honda and then obviously he stopped after that. But Jorge was still this guy that was this freak of nature. Yeah. Then I moved to Ducati and I had a year and, you know, I'm not saying I had no competition. Andrea was my teammate. He was riding very, very well. But I mean, I never had that guy that was really super ahead, where now obviously you have Mark, and Mark is the hardest teammate, you know, Honda teammate in the world. You know, imagine having to compare yourself to that guy week in, week out.
No, thank you.
And it is tough.
You know, I wonder how that between the years works.
If you look at his teammates that he's had, he's just cracked on. Yeah. You know, and there's nobody left.
No.
Well,
they're just going through them like.
Is that part of Jorge stopping? Do you think?
Yeah. Well, he sent two into retirement, hasn't he? Literally.
Yeah.
Because imagine you sat there going, well, yeah. How do you deal with it? His last two teammates have retired. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you can't deal with it.
Did you ever have anyone like that?
Early on in my career, when I was teammates with Kaczynski, Fogarty, that they were on a different level because they were in the prime of their career, and you're looking at their data thinking, it's so difficult when you know your teammate is on the same motorcycle with the same tyres.
And he's fast on you.
Yeah. And it's hard. You can never admit to yourself, actually, I'm not good enough. It's a massive part of our sport.
You know when I made more of a turning point with that against Mark was when I accepted it. I just said, listen, this guy is a freak. Nobody in the world that will get on this bike will do what he's doing. Nobody. So you just have to try and be the best that you can on the bike and be as close as possible, or beat him if you can beat him. Well, but the reality is, you stick anybody else on that bike on the grid, he'll beat them. Yeah. So there's no shame in being as close as what I'm being, actually. You know.
But then does that? I'm wondering about the idea of there being mind games between all of you riders out there. Has Mark won the battle between the years? Then, do you think?
Every rider on that grid knows how good he is, and every rider that's not on a Honda is hoping that their manufacturer, so if you're Dovizioso on the Ducati or Maverick on the Yamaha, it's like we've got to improve the package, which basically means get that bike better, because I don't stand a chance. You always think you stand a chance, you can't really admit it to yourself, but everyone's hoping and praying.
It's amazing.
But he has won. To answer your question, he has won, But you look at the results from last year, first or second in every race that he finished. You know, like he's always there, isn't he?
In terms of mind games and the way you try and play, whether it's with your teammate, whether it's with your rivals. I've seen, for example, I remember a few times walking around the grid, and I'll speak to people at Michelin, and they'll say, well, Cal's running a medium, Mark's running a medium, but someone will change. Someone's going to change. Tell us about, there's little things that you might, but don't give away your trade secrets necessarily. But
No. You know, that's happened to me a few times last year, where we had a plan with Honda, what Mark was going to go for, what I was going to go for, and they were going to be the same thing. On the grid, he changed in the last second and doesn't even tell...
Like him personally?
Yeah, but it doesn't even... Him and the crew...
Santi?
And they don't even tell Honda. and suddenly they're sat there on the grid on a different tyre. Yeah, but they don't have to. No, they just get the mechanic to run and get their tyre
ready. On a warmer, they'll be ready. Exactly.
Yeah, like the Australian Grand Prix, we're both going to race the hard rear tyre. In the end, Idiot here was the only one to race the hard rear tyre, and the Vinales and him went away with the soft. But that's part of it. I've also done it myself.
I was going to say, you must have done it.
Of course you do. And anybody who works with the other riders and the other manufacturers on it.
Suspension guys, for example.
You always keep a little something back. You don't give them everything because that's between you and your crew chief.
It's fascinating for me though. Yeah. The fact that you've got someone who's working in your team, but you can't give them all your information.
Say you go to the grid. There's a soft, medium, and a hard rear tyre, and they know that all three will race. You'll be able to race the race, and two are really close. You won't tell them which one you're planning to race. Normally not. No. And
you feel like it will get back to someone else.
Yeah. But also you'll see the list and.
Oh, you're lying. Just go. I'm definitely going on the hard. The hard's going to be the one for this weekend.
Have you ever done that to us on a Saturday? We come to interview you on a Saturday. What tyre are you going to run? And you'll completely throw us a curve.
Because I don't lie. As I told you, I would not sit there and blatantly lie. I would say to the Michelin guy, I'm swinging more towards hard rear tyre, but that at the time probably is 90% of the grid. But in the back of your mind, you're thinking I could easily go to the medium, which then you discuss with Biffy that maybe the medium was better.
But you think that's...
it's not that's not lying. Lying blatantly to your face in an interview is a different story.
Yeah, but I've been in press conferences though where people have blatantly said something that has been completely false.
Yeah,
and it's you almost feel like it's been about getting into someone else's head, whether it's been Jorge saying something about Mark or. And when they've had these rivalries, that kind of thing. That's going on all the time, isn't it?
Yeah,
but I think half of it, I look at it now. It's got a little bit more tense, but I think they're all too nice to each other. Do you ever see boxers and that?
Trash talking.
Yeah, that's how we need.
I'm not saying we should all sit there and turn around and say this guy and talk about their families and stuff like that. I'm not saying like that, but they're all too lovey-dovey with each other because the cameras are there and because
there's that obviously,
and they want to be seen by the.
But do you know why? I'll tell you why. Because of Valentino Rossi. Because Rossi has killed everybody with kindness. And Smiley, the silent assassin.
But isn't that what Mark's doing now? Isn't that
That's exactly what Mark does.
The big cheesy smile.
The problem is, I think Mark's better at it than anybody else.
Really?
Yeah.
And secretly, he's an absolute animal, savage.
He's a little.
Underneath everything, he's a killer. Don't take that the wrong way. I'm sure.
No, I know exactly. We know
he's not a killer. He's a silent assassin, and I think that that's another reason why it's a massive gain for his armour of fighting for the world title is how well he can be perceived, but how savage he really is.
But then I wonder, are you able to have a personal relationship with him? Without the whole riding stuff getting in the way?
No, I think there's always an ulterior motive.
Ulterior motive, do you?
Yeah. But it's like
that's the way it is.
Do you feel like it's that with all riders?
Of course it is.
Yeah.
But and they will think about me as well. I'm sure, but that's part of it. You can't be friends with anyone. If I was away from racing and you had all these people, I'd be friends with about two of them, and two of them don't race in my championship. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, one does and one doesn't. Yeah. I mean,
be friends with Jack.
Yeah,
obviously.
But I mean, you wouldn't call them friends.
That always surprises people, but that's exactly what I experienced.
What do you mean you wouldn't call them friends?
You wouldn't call them friends at all. It's like we mentioned teammates earlier.
I would probably
they're not your mate. They're the person that's going to potentially, imagine this, your teammate's potentially going to be out of a job. Yeah. Yeah, if your career's doing this, your teammate, if you get destroyed by your teammate, all of a sudden your career, there's a blip because you then lost your ride with that team and you've ended up in a team, you're in an A team, you've ended up in a B team, and then your career's going like that. And then, you know what I mean? They're enemies.
But
you don't say that to the press.
For enemies,
I'm not just talking about teammates, I'm talking about the whole grid. You know, great. There's some really nice guys. You know, I have nothing against a lot of them. I have.
Do you have something against some of them, though?
Yeah, of course. But I mean,
Who?
I'm not going to tell you on it.
Go on.
It'll come out in a book one day, I'm sure. No, it won't. The end of the day, you can be friends with them, but you don't want to be. It's a really, really strange scenario because you actually think that you might be friends with them, and then they go and do something that is just ridiculous, and you're like, oh well, obviously it works both ways.
In terms of they'll smash you up the inside.
No, well, not just that. I mean, just
You expect that?
Most of it's the riding on the track when you bump into each other and all that stuff.
That's part
Who
and
cares?
parcel.
But it's more the politics outside.
Like getting the tyre company to go the way you want to go. That sort of
Well,
thing. Is that,
everything.
am I thinking too much?
No, I think, or hearing in the press that someone said something about you, because it always gets back to you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In the end, you just think.
So
"Damn,
we've got
what an
this
idiot."
paddock of 2,500 people, right? And you're saying none of the riders are your friends. Have you got friends then when you're out there riding? Is it a lonely place to be for a rider?
When you're riding, or
No,
just
in general in
No,
the paddock.
that's
I'm trying
why-
to bring it back to
well,
the
that's-
theme of the
and
paddock.
Gav, that's why you see riders have their little entourage. Unfortunately, what appears to have happened, certainly since I retired 10 years ago, the entourages have got bigger and bigger. And if you look at your Marquez's or Jorge at the time, had huge entourage.
Jorge in particular was one, wasn't he? He had a manager. He's got a physio.
He had someone to carry his
He's had
scarf.
seven managers in
He's been through a
10
lot of
years,
different riders' assistants as
Gav,
well.
the scarf.
Yeah, yeah.
He had someone to carry that around. It was, but it just got bigger and bigger. Everybody was on the payroll. I love that because that wasn't, again, that didn't happen in my day. Literally, your girlfriend or wife would do that, or you'd get a mate to do it, and your mate would be just unbelievably happy.
Yeah,
that
glad
got
to
a
get a
free holiday.
ticket.
That's just the coach who's not happy because he has to work with it.
Why now?
I haven't told Daco this year. He's just on free tickets to the races.
He'll still be there by your side.
Yeah,
He's
100%.
there for all the right reasons. But I love what they do because it's amazing. I think a lot of people don't realise this. I mean, occasionally you'll see him in the garage putting your gloves on for you. Like, I don't know.
No, I'm not that bad.
Whoa.
If you're talking about me,
Just-
I don't ask anyone
no,
to put
I know you don't,
glove on.
but-
At the end of the race, I might ask them to be
No, but
pulled
is
off
that
because I
because
can't feel my hands.
Is that because if you're weird, you don't like people touching things
exactly.
without the anti-back?
Gav, let's put my gloves up for me.
Right there,
But,
Daco, you got any hand sanitizer?
But also, I tell you, was it Loris Capirossi? Someone used to get his man to wipe the sweat off his face. I used to love that.
Well, no, but
I don't want anyone touching my face through my helmet, dabbing me.
Valentino has Ucho there, doesn't he? And when Valentino comes in during a session, Ucho is there
It's just-
to show him
but
the
I have to
iPad
say-
and to mop his brow.
I have to say,
Why
it's
did you-
what
But
worked.
there's a helmet guy, Maurizio, who will sort his helmet out at the same time.
But surely you can mop your own brow.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a little bit of tissue
You
there.
think
You
so?
think, do you know what? Sweat's running into my eye. I'll just wipe that. If someone got into my space in my helmet, I can imagine you with your sausage fingers trying to get in. You'd be like, you poke me in the eye. I'd have you'd be like, what are you doing? So there's that. The other one I like, rider assistant, just sat here looking at the monitor, writing down the splits. A lot of riders assistants write down the splits.
Write down the times.
5 minutes after the end of the session, the PR person walks in whilst you're sat debriefing and gives you the times of everybody's with all your splits on. I'm always thinking,
Just so you know, Daco does that for me.
Does
but
it?
I will tell you the reason
I don't know why.
Because we know how many laps are on each rider's tyre, and we know the track condition at that time that you're out on
What
track.
you didn't before.
So now I can say to Daco, okay, write this guy, you know, he's got a list of guys, 5 guys say, then he's writing the lap time. So I know I can compare to that time that I was on track and the tyre wear and how many laps.
But it's on the sheet,
tyre.
isn't it, that you get at the end
Yeah,
of it?
but at the time, you need to know whether you need to up your game in the session.
Right.
Or you need to know whether in the second run you've got to do something different, or you're losing 4 tenths in one sector, but in the other one you're gaining a tenth, or, you know, so, and you can't see that when you come in on the screen. You can only see it if someone's wrote it down.
Does he ever break your leathers in?
No.
Does you break your gloves in?
No. Depends if I've got a really tight set of gloves. Then
If you need
maybe.
anyone to break your gloves in, I would sausage fingers here.
I've
What,
got
I've
tiny
got small
hand,
hands,
tiny
but
hand.
just fat.
what else does a rider assistant do? Pass you your water bottle.
You're better off doing an interview with Dakar. He
Have
could
you
tell
ever-
He
okay
could
then.
tell you 1 million stories.
Have you ever then got your rider assistant, Daco, to do something that is just stupid? You don't really need him to do it, but you just thought, well, he's on
Just
the
on the
payroll.
wind-up.
Daco, just get yourself to the main entrance because I've got a mate coming. And he's
1,000
doing it.
times.
1,000 times.
Hold on, that's
Go
a
on,
normal
give us an
job.
example.
That's a normal
If you've got a
job.
mate come in, you've got
No,
to
but
get him in.
you actually haven't got a mate coming.
Oh,
You say
right,
that,
no, no.
and he's there for an hour and you think, wow.
So,
Go on,
yeah,
give us
so-
an example. There must be something.
I can't think of one completely off my head, but some of them are. I've done. Some,
But they get
I've
paid
done some,
well, don't they?
I've done some fantastic things in my time that we look back at and just go, I can't believe you did that, Daco.
Go on.
But the problem is with Daco, he's the most gullible guy you ever meet. So you can just get him on things all the time.
But it's a good living.
But it's not. Hold on, Daco. You know, I sit there and say, well, Daco is an assistant to me. But don't forget, if the team asks him to do something, he'll do it as well.
Yeah.
You know, if Beefy says, I need something done for Cal or Lucho, you know.
Yeah, but I've seen him working for the
don't-
riders as well. You know, when you're on the track,
He's round with his bike and tackers, bro.
he's guessing the splits.
Yeah. He's
Honestly,
just writing
he
them
is.
down,
He's
writing
just,
them down.
and then
I
I've
missed
seen
that
him.
one, just
I've seen
make
him.
it up.
I tell you, he's got 3 or 4 jobs on. It's one of the, what was it? We worked out 4th best paid person in the paddock. Daco.
Well, he's probably up there with the assistants paid, but he deserves it.
I used to babysit for him, you know, back in the day when he was a young lad.
Let's get off that
Did
subject.
Randy pay you?
What about?
What do you reckon? What do you reckon?
What-
Get your free game of golf.
So,
Bear in mind, he is Randy Ramona's son, yeah.
so Ucho, who's obviously
The most well-known ride assistant in the world.
yeah, well, the original,
The original.
the Godfather, basically.
He's the Don.
So, well, we know he sort of does other things, but when he was just a rider assistant, and obviously Valentino was on tens of millions pretty much
Yeah.
throughout the year, I wonder what he was getting paid. Bear in
Fascinating,
mind,
wasn't it?
best mate from school, obviously he's been there by his side since he was 15, been to every race, not missed a race, I believe.
I think didn't he miss one?
Like,
Threes.
is Ucho multi-millionaire? He sat there
I'm
just
sure.
going, well, he will be,
You
won't
reckon
he?
he is?
Well, you think
Absolutely,
Valentino
mate.
look after him?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, he obviously runs the VR46 team now, doesn't he?
Does he though?
Well, he's involved in a lot of those meetings. I have seen him.
No, I know, but I always feel like
it's
one
a
of-
figurehead.
One of them token jobs.
Pablo Nieto does all the dirty work, and
Well, you feel-
Ucho's just.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone knows anymore, but I've always thought, I wonder what.
I'll tell you what,
he
if
does
you're a
run
good journalist, go and ask him.
I'm not a journalist.
What?
Oh, here we go.
Gav's a journalist.
So what are you
what?
now?
I've no idea what I am. I'm in between. aren't I? I've
Exactly.
always been a bit
You Gav's sidekick.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
should
Like
tell
that.
him to go and ask him.
Gav's
Will
sidekick.
you ask Ucho what he's on?
Do you know what I was thinking earlier when we were talking about keeping secrets and not telling, so the rest of the riders don't know what tyre you're going to use? It's like that at BT with Gav. Gav, he'll go
Loves a
out,
secret.
gets all the gossip and
How-
information, and you'll go, oh, what's the latest? Because Gav will have got there before me. Any gossip? No, same old, same old.
Save it.
And then you'll get it on the TV.
And then he gets the power of the
Yeah,
mic,
yeah,
and he's
yeah,
like, "Pff," and you're looking at him going, well, I never knew about that. Oh yeah, and breaking news.
Right.
Oh,
So what
hold
gossip?
on, okay, then we go back. What does Keith know? He just talks about two strokes and jetting and stuff like that. Because I've never seen him at any media, any press conference, nothing. Does he rob your stuff off your sheet? He must do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything.
Yeah,
I'm not saying
yeah.
anything.
We
My
can't-
sheet doesn't get seen by anybody. But in terms of gossip, you're mentioning gossip.
Oh, I love gossip.
No, but we love the rumour mill. Like, so in the paddock, we've got your entourage, we've got all the teams all set up, but there's thousands of people there, and a lot of them are working on our side of it, watching. We're being paid to watch. We're not making the bikes go quicker. We're not helping riders go quicker. We're actually just there to talk about it and not criticise. It's to be critical, to judge it, to talk about it. What about the rumours, the gossip that some of us come out with? Where does it all start? Because I think you are guilty sometimes.
You are guilty.
Of starting a few rumours here and there.
You've had me
But
on lots of occasions.
But mine are always true, and they'll always turn out. I never miss a beat with that, and it's just to get you boys wound up because you've got nothing better to do.
I love it. I love it when you text me.
But mine's not really gossip; it's real information.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just want you to light the fire and say it on TV. And
which
I'm waiting to see who's going to do it.
I love it as well. I can't wait.
But I mean, there are times you say, don't say it, don't talk about that. Are you expecting someone to break your confidence, break your trust there? Have there been journalists who've done that? You've said,
100 times. Yeah, 100 times. But in the end of the day, then you work out who you can trust and who you can't.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say, because I know I've had things...
That's why you've got to do it.
Well, there's been things we've said on air that you're actually, they are the truth. You know that there's something going on, but you wait to hear when it comes back to you as, someone else has started quoting that kind of thing.
We did one in Sepang, didn't we? We were laughing and joking. So Fabio Quartararo, obviously, hadn't won a race all year. Qualifies on pole for his home race, home sponsors, Petronas.
Didn't know it was Malaysian.
No, home sponsors.
Team's home race.
Team's home race.
That was.
And I said to Gav, well, I just came out with it. I said, well, rumour has it in the paddock that if Quartararo wins, obviously Petronas is a big company, there's £1 million. I said, I don't know if it's pounds or euros bonus. And I said, obviously, his teammate was going well as well, Frankie Morbidelli. So I said, between them, imagine having that. Anyway, I finished my commentating session.
Did you just make it up?
Completely.
Because you heard it, didn't you? I bet you heard it, because I heard it.
Gav's going, what's that about? And I went, I don't know what, I just couldn't help myself. I started a lie, and then it grew as I was saying it, because I was going to say 100 grand, and then it turned out to be $1 million.
And then we had people from Petronas coming back to us, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
You should be arrested for stuff like that.
That's
you
great.
can't do that.
Arrested. No one's got hurt. I thought that was a good little rumour. It was funny though, because I was in the press office, and someone said, rumour has it that there's £1 million or euros. How good's that? And I was like, my work here is done. I was so proud.
In the seats, but who's the worst for it?
You've made it.
Who's the worst for coming out with gossip because I always think, for me, the person in the paddock, Carlo Pernat's good, isn't he? In terms of...
Yeah, but again, there's difference between gossip or saying the truth. He says the truth, and that's why people...
He says 50%
like him and 50% don't.
He's a rider manager, though. He says stuff to benefit his rider.
But so does the whole paddock. 2,000 people that are in that paddock, if they've got a rumour or something, it's to benefit them in one way or another. I can tell you that, or benefit their rider.
Because there was a lot going around.
Or to crack another rider, or whatever it might be.
With all the Honda stuff, with all Jorge, what he was doing at the end of the year. There was so much. How much did you know of what we did? Because we tried to find out.
Ask Neil, I told him.
Yeah.
But honestly, no one. We sort of had an inkling about Alex Marquez, that kind of thing. But Zarco, you were there alongside him. He was on the other side of your garage. Were you aware he wasn't going to be riding for Honda?
Yeah.
He told me.
Absolutely.
How can you tell me?
Because he told me I couldn't tell you because you blabber.
Do I then?
But...
Blabbermouth. That's what your nickname is in the paddock, isn't it? Or blabbered.
The problem is, was Zarco aware that he was not going to be riding?
Well,
because I don't think he was.
No.
But, that whole scenario never even got sorted out until Saturday night in Valencia.
Yeah.
And that's the truth,
People
look at it from the outside. Oh, this has been set up for months and years, and this, that, and the other. Things were still going on. I bet Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because honestly, people didn't know the end of last year whether Jorge was going to retire in the plum job, isn't it? Repsol, Honda, that kind of thing. He didn't actually tell anyone really till Malaysia, and even then, until the week before Valencia, that I'm definitely going to do it there, which I find amazing. But everyone sort of knew it as well.
I love when he signed.
We said it. I think. When did we say mid-season? He'll probably retire at the end of the year.
Yeah, I love when he signed for Honda. Me and Cal were talking, and Cal's going, he'll struggle. He's going to do nothing on that bike. I know, because obviously at that stage, Cal had ridden the Yamaha, the Ducati, and the Honda. He went, it's the polar opposite. Riding side, it's just not going to suit him. And he's like, he won't get top 5.
Hold on, me and you got slated for it. Well, I never, because I never said it publicly.
No, and then
you wind me up. Proper got slated with it though. Because you joined the Big Mouth Club.
I got slated because he then retweeted what I'd said, Jorge, and his line was, I'd joined the Big Mouth Club.
Because you'd said he wasn't going to win.
Yeah.
On the Honda.
I mean,
no, I said he'd struggle.
I
also said in the second year, if he would have stuck at it, I honestly believe
he could have figured it out.
He could have figured it out. But it's a different story, You don't know what state people are in after big crashes like that, and he did have some massive.
The Assen one was as big as you get.
And I think the way that he carried on riding throughout the year. He carried on trying throughout the year. Sure, he missed some races, but he was injured. I think the way that he handled the situation at the end of the year was better than anybody else could have handled it in the whole paddock.
It was stunning. That press conference was impressive.
Not just that, and I think even now, I like Jorge. Genuinely, I like Jorge. I like him way more now. All he's doing is partying, living the life, and going around the world, you know, and he doesn't care. He doesn't care less.
He looked like he had the best winter.
He did.
Absolutely, and that's what it's all about for him. You know, I think he's handled it in a fantastic way.
But
a lot better.
There's someone who's come in as a kid, 15. Yeah. I remember interviewing him the day he started, or the day before actually.
Yeah.
He started riding when I pretty much first started in the paddock as well, and he has spent every year at the top of his game throughout.
You met him when he got into the paddock. It's what had got him there exactly. And his dad was.
Well, we were already talking about him there. That's why you wouldn't normally. We're not going to be going interviewing. There's a couple of new kids this year. We probably won't be going to start the season interviewing them. But it was like people knew this kid had something a little bit special because he'd already done.
Well, like Quattraro when he came in, everybody knew how talented he was, and we did interviews with him before his first Grand Prix.
Yeah,
because we knew
he'd already won the Junior World Championship
twice.
Times. Yeah, average.
Yeah,
he's just bang average.
But weird. I know we don't go off on a tangent because I could talk about him, but
well, no, it's not like
how his career's gone because he struggled for ages, didn't he? Really?
Yeah.
But didn't do anything
injuries
too impressive, and now obviously you'd say obviously he's one of the favourites.
I'm not blowing smoke here at all, but I think I was the only person that said he'd be Rookie of the Year. Everyone said Mir and
I didn't think he'd be Rookie of the Year.
And if you go back to Malaysia last year and ask and look at the interview, I was the only one that said it. He'll hammer.
Right, we're going to rewind on that.
Yeah, well,
he'll hammer him.
I don't believe it.
And he rode a fantastic year.
Right. That's what
and I'm sure he will this year.
Yeah.
So one person that we see you with a lot, or we do, because we're the journalists coming to you. We are the journalists. Keep saying that.
I'm not a journalist.
No, but you have a press officer.
Stop calling me a journalist.
Who's there, right? And as we said before, Cal, you are the least press officer friendly rider, which is fair to say. In fact, you've seen off your press officer, Elisa.
What?
She can't handle it.
Yeah,
she's not back this year.
Anymore.
No way.
No, Elisa.
Blood,
No wonder. She's been in the paddock for 20 years and she comes to work for you.
Hold on a minute. I have to tell you, I've been very, very good to Elisa over the years. I've bought her some great presents, I can tell you that.
No,
I can just picture her though. She's lovely.
Because she's had to mop up a load of stuff behind me half the time. No, she wanted to stay at home. You know, as you know, Gav, you know very, very well, and Elisa's been great for the last 5 years with me. Honestly, I feel sorry for the new girl.
Well, that's what I was about to say.
They don't
got a new girl coming in, Victoria. Right? She
Gav
has
always
got to
knows.
learn.
Do you know out of the 2,000 people in the paddock, Gav knows everyone's name. Literally, you walk down and he'll go.
Well, he's got nothing else to do except check his emails all day. And
Fair point. All he does is watch sport, by the way.
Make up gossip.
And make up gossip.
Watch baseball. No, but Victoria's got to learn your ways. And what is it she's going to be doing for you?
I think she's been primed very, very well from Elisa and Daco and Beefy and Lucho. And it's not that I have this relationship with the press that, as I told you before, I will always say the truth. I'll always give an answer. Sometimes I like doing stuff, sometimes I don't. But, you know, the problem is for me is I love racing the motorbike. I love being on the motorbike. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just don't like all the other stuff around it. I don't like the political side of it. That doesn't mean I don't want to work, because I work harder than probably anybody else in that paddock. What I mean is that I love the racing side of it, and I know the sponsors, and I always try to keep them happy, and I always do my best for the fans, and because essentially that's why we race. You know, it's an entertainment business. But on the other hand, you know, I'm my own person. I don't like to be a
corporate spokesman.
No, I don't like to be a performing monkey and told what to do. You know, which I know that comes from part of the job. You know, I've done it for long enough that, and I think that I'm respectful, and I think that I do everything well.
The Honda always agree.
Wow.
Do you have any arguments where there's things, because you have said some fruity things over the years, haven't you?
Still there though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Unfortunately, I would tell you
sometimes?
another thing as well. I'm I'm not saying controversial in, all the time, but controversialness sells papers. And, to be in MotoGP and to be a top sportsman now, you have to be an all-round package, not just ride a motorbike.
It'd be boring without you. Because the press conferences
I'm not complaining.
and all that lot, when everyone's sat there and like you say, everyone's just talking utter rubbish sometimes.
Just PR speak.
Yeah, it's like we say
media trades.
You talk and say nothing. Basically, we get a lot of that, don't we?
You got to be honest about things. I remember last year, I said something after a test. After this Qatar test,
You said about the bike.
Says a waste of 3 days of my life.
Yeah, you do.
It is a waste of 3 days of my life. I sat in the garage for 2 days because we had to give Mark the parts because something happened and all these things. I managed to get about 30 laps in 3 days that were worth to even go around the track. And so I did say it's a waste of 3 days of my life. That's honest. I could have stayed at home and it would have made no difference to me going to Qatar race. So in the end, but they're all there. Fantastic test. Oh yeah, best. They're in 19th,
Yeah.
And oh yeah, great test. Can't wait to come back to the race. I said, at this point, 3 days of my life is wasted. The race is not looking great. But I managed to turn it around and go to the podium. But still,
And was it different when you were factory rider?
So hold on. So you can imagine when the press officer's like that.
He's recording it because they always have the little dictaphone there, just recording everything that he said. Who has to listen back to all that rubbish?
They have to send it to the manufacturers now as well.
Oh, right.
I'll tell you what I love as well. I love it in that situation, the test, and you're talking after the test, and you're 19th quickest, and you go, get ready for the drum roll. Bear in mind you've done a 3-day test. Hey, we weren't really focusing on lap times at this test. And you're like, what the hell were you doing there then? Yeah. You know what I mean? That means I was slow and I've no idea what to say. Weren't really focusing on lap times. Bit of bad news. I don't have to tell you this, but you're sort of judged on your lap time. It's quite important.
You're always focusing on lap time. Maybe you're not focused on the position. Is in.
When you hear people say that, and it's just like what utter lie, really.
So you just said then all your quotes that the press officer who we see all the time stood next to you is recording. They have to send it to the manufacturer so they can check them.
Normally, yeah.
So was it different
But
when
the
you
problem
wrote
is
for the
when you're live, what do? You can say
well,
what
you can't put the G
I
back
always
in the
thought
bottle.
it was if you were misquoted.
Yeah, but I always thought that. So for
you
example,
could say, well, hang on a minute,
Yeah,
you did not say that.
And I was misquoted at the end of last year.
was that because it was translated into another language and they give it?
Essentially, yeah. So you have to be careful what you say, and that's it. But I think that
Hang on, this is you being careful when we said you've been interviewed all the time.
Yeah, but I think I've made a great career out of being on that fence of
on the limit almost of it.
Too much or not?
You're still here. You're employed by Honda, the biggest motorcycle company.
And I've never been fined. I've been close, but I've never been fined.
Have you not?
And I know a lot of riders that have. So
Who's been fined? Well, Jack fined. Was Jack
Yeah,
fined? No,
Jack,
Sam Lowe's was fined, wasn't he?
also Elise.
Not in the end.
Scott Redding?
I think Elise.
Yeah.
For
There's been a
saying
few,
things
yeah.
about Aprilia, wasn't it? Yeah.
So,
Over the years. So it's in your contract. You
Always,
say something bad, boom.
There's
But
lots.
big
There's
amounts
lots
of
of
money.
clauses in contracts. Yeah.
yeah.
Up to 50
there's
grand.
lots. No,
What,
more
for
than that.
saying
Is it? All right.
If you want, yeah. If you keep going, it just
What,
keeps
if you-
topping up.
Oh yeah, the ones I've seen.
Well, if you say something, what? Is it got
If you
a
say
grade
something-
up? If you say something bad about
you say
the
something
front end, then it's
derogatory
this.
about-
If you say something bad about the engine, then it's this.
No, you say something bad about the manufacturer, and the first offence is like 5 grand, second one's 10, and the third one's 50.
Yeah, you must be looking at different championships money there. I can tell
Yeah.
you that.
Well, I am.
Sad on that,
Yeah.
but I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Go on then. What's the biggest fine?
I don't know, but it
starts
starts at about 50 grand.
Right. Okay.
That's 25. I think it might be 25 first one or something like that.
Cal, thank you very much for joining us. I don't know how much we talked about in the paddock.
We had a list of things to talk about. We've gone nowhere near any of them.
Nowhere near any of them.
Maybe we'll have to do it again then.
We'll do it again.
Different
Do it
one.
another time.
Different one.
All right. Cheers, Cal.
Pleasure.
Cheers.
And cheers, Neil.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right.
Yeah, getting the hang of this. Tell you what, I reckon in 2 or 3 weeks from now,
okay,
keep
can I-
practicing at home.
Can
you'll
I
be
just
all right.
ask? I know I've just done.
Yeah.
We've just done this chat and that.
No, that was the rehearsal.
Yeah. But have you got your own show or something then?
This is
Have
Gav's
you
show.
made the big time?
This
Well,
is it.
This is it.
That's why he's sat in the middle.
You know.
Actually, once he's finished this, he's going to go to the baseball game that he's dressed for. So that's
I shouldn't say
good luck
that.
with that. Good luck.